We're rolling.
Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Nerdbuzzed!
Nerdbuzzed doesn't condone the consumption of alcohol by any persons under the age of 21. Please drink responsibly.
Welcome to Nerdbuzzed. This is going to be after party episode whatever, because the rules are out the window and we just don't care. But we're going to drink a brew, and we're going to talk nerd. So I'm your host, Marcus Hellinger, and with me as always,
Jeremiah Johnson.
And back on
Erik
location.
Newquist.
Thank you very much. The mead master himself.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, you've earned it, trust me.
You're just saying that because you have a lot to drink today.
Yeah, right. Keep just trying to keep the fuel in the fire here. So we kind of have our standard gambit of questions for our after party. It'll help establish our nerdiness here. There they are.
Gotta wonder how many nerd points I'm going to lose today. Jeez.
Yeah. Well,
I think
luckily it starts at nothing and works its way into something. So
All right.
We can't really go down.
All right.
Right. We're just all average, right? Because that's one of the main things that we always mention is everybody has a nerd. I think even if your nerd isn't a more kind of typical cliche nerd thing, there is something that you are way more into than people want to hear you talk about.
That's
and
probably
typically
true.
that's a nerd thing, right? Yeah.
Gardening,
Cars,
guns, flowers.
Yeah, right, totally. When you see people's eyes kind of gloss over, but you can't stop yourself from talking, that's probably your nerd thing.
All right.
Yeah.
I'll give you that.
So, right away, the standard, because it's Nerdbuzzed, we like to start out with the nerd question. And I know that making mead is one of your all-time nerdy things that you do. But next on your list, what would be your nerd guilty pleasure? Right on the spot. I love it when we ask that and people, man.
Well, it's because it's a big list.
Flipped my world, right?
Well, it's a big list because I love wood carving. I love Legos. I love video games. I love making and building stuff.
Yeah.
I love making costumes. I love sword fighting. All kinds of stuff.
Nice. So just being a nerd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just invest myself completely in whatever I'm doing.
Yeah.
And if it's interesting to me, I'm like, oh, hey, that's neat. I should look into that more. And then I just kind of fall down the rabbit hole for a while. So
Yeah, I get that one entirely.
Yes. So we can't put our finger on what your favoriteest nerd thing is. I also like to ask people, was there a point in your life when you realized you were a nerd?
Oh, when I got my ass kicked in school.
Really? That was it?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
We in high school there was a group of us that were picked on, so we obviously hung out together because, well, we're those guys. We started. we didn't really fit in any of the clubs or the groups on campus because we're not the jocks. We were all in band. We got PE credit for being in band, which was fantastic.
Marching band totally
Right.
fits.
So we're like, well, we need a club where we can do the stuff that we like doing. So we were talking to all the teachers like, hey, we want to start a club. Well, what kind of club do you want to start? We don't know. We just want to hang out where we're not going to get picked on.
Yeah.
And they're like, that's fine. You come up with a name or whatever. I'll sponsor it and you'll be fine. So we had the Adventurers Guild. And we
So
did,
nerdy.
right?
I love it.
And we were playing Magic the Gathering. I've still got all my old Alpha and Beta cards. And,
I've got a whole bunch of alpha cards.
yeah. All the nice old rounded black borders, yeah.
I gave a whole shoebox away, though.
Oof.
I thought you were going to say something else when you started with the shh. But I'm glad it went that way. Yeah. I mean, it's after party.
It was
but-
a shh.
Yeah.
Whoa, but yes.
It's only after you realize what you could have made off of them by selling them.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
I still miss giving away my black mocks.
I never actually ventured into the Magic rabbit hole. I think I definitely hit that point too, where it was like suddenly I started to realize that everybody else was starting to move on to other things, and I was still enjoying my action figures and my Legos and my superheroes and my comic books and that sort of thing. And still to this day,
Yep.
screw 'em, man. I don't even care.
Right.
So I gotta say something though. How much of the Magic the Gathering have you played recently, like the new stuff?
I haven't played probably since shortly after high school.
Yeah, because that's where I was at with it. And my little cousin was huge into it, and they've got all this new stuff out. And he's like, "Well, you can't even play with your old cards. They won't even do anything now." And so I dug through my stuff. He had a what do you call it? A splinter deck, which is just everything builds off of each other and builds off of each other and builds off of each other, and just till it's just this massive army coming at you. And they all have like essentially trample. So yeah.
That
So
sucks.
anyway, so I kept I put together a deck full of just little 1/1 creatures, just tons of 1/1 creatures with 1 casting cost, and just out they come, 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 and I just keep putting them out there, and he keeps killing them, thinking he's just ruining my day. I'm ruining my day, and then I pulled out I can't remember the name of the card, but anyway, you go through and all creatures in your graveyard, remove them from play. And it deals damage to any target.
Oh,
and I just I hit him.
That's an FU right there.
I ended up hitting him with like 31 points, like instantaneously. Bink. Oh, yeah. Old cards can't do anything. Sorry.
See, that's why I love the old blue decks where you could actually like copy the other person's card.
Yeah.
Or take it over. Like, wow, that's impressive. That's really cool. I wish I had one of those. Hey, you know what? In fact, I do. Here, let me borrow that.
Yeah. Well, just so we know, your guys' nerd levels were here.
Yeah.
You've, like, okay, we're skyrocketing nerd levels, right?
Well, that was
I love
easy.
it. Yeah, I love it. Well, and I think it's funny because it's totally valid that when we were all kids, it was not cool to be a nerd at all.
No.
Like, right? That was
Not
just
at
like
all.
a closet thing you did. Nowadays, you can just openly be nerds. And
Well,
it's not
nowadays we
nearly a
run
big
shit.
deal.
So
Yeah, right. It's like, it blows me away how just socially acceptable being a nerd
Right.
is now, right? And it's almost the other way around. If you're not educated on some form of nerdery, then you're out of the loop.
if you can't speak
Technical
exhaustively about some sort of
Yeah,
subject,
right,
then
yeah.
like you're not worth talking to.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Like, who can you meet down the street that doesn't know who like Iron Man is now?
Right.
Right. Which in my day, which I've talked about, was not necessarily a hero that was like at the forefront. Right, he was kind
That's
of
true.
more. He was a little. I mean, I still knew who he was, and he was. Typically, I knew him from the Avengers,
Right.
Because that's what made all those heroes big. But he was not who Joe Blow would know.
Well, it's like Wolverine. Like at the time, they're like, "Oh, he can heal and he's got sticks and is coming out of his hand. Big
Yeah.
deal." And now it's like, "Oh my god, he's my favorite character." Or Deadpool. Oh my
Yeah,
god,
yeah.
Deadpool. Like, really? Do you even know who he was about 3 years ago?
Yeah.
I didn't think so.
No, actually, I didn't.
Well,
Back in my day.
yeah. And Deadpool for me was definitely the somewhat of I don't want to say like the downfall of superheroes, but he was kind of that hero that I noticed heroes becoming mainstream. Like I noticed people that was suddenly on the like superhero bandwagon because they liked Deadpool.
Yeah, I really liked Deadpool for one reason. I love that he's aware of what he is as a character.
Yeah.
That he breaks the fourth wall all the time. That he talks directly to the reader.
Uh-huh.
And that was one of the first things that I absolutely loved reading the comic. And I'm like, wait, what? No. Okay, this writer's actually pretty good. And then you keep going and he keeps doing it. And then he's like, do you realize that you have flipped through whatever and like it brings you further into his story to care about that character, and that's something that nobody else did, which
Yeah.
I thought was cool.
And even has like there's some of those parts where like he'll pretty much should be dead,
Right.
and he'll just acknowledge to you like, "Good thing I'm a superhero and this is a
Right.
comic book, or I'd be dead right now." Right?
Exactly.
Yeah. I love those. I totally love those moments too. I just remember everybody suddenly was on this Deadpool bandwagon. And I was like, "But there's so many other cool heroes that made Deadpool relevant, right?"
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't know about any of those. And then like, I love that all those things are actually coming out now, and
Right.
it's cool how much it's opened the doors to everybody to just indulge yourself on the nerdiness. I
Right.
love it. It's actually pretty cool. So my next question, I always go to it, and I know that you're the mead guy, but is there a beer that you do care for?
I love beer. I love wine. I love sake. I like. My problem is I like things that taste good. So I tend to prefer dark beers. So stouts, porters, that kind of stuff. Do
you have a go-to?
I love Cycle Brewing out of Florida.
Okay, I don't think I've had that.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
so hard to get
No.
up here. The only reason I get it is because there's some guys that live in the area that whenever there's a new release comes out, they pick up some bottles and they ship them to other people around the state or around the country. Because I can't, so they're like part of this mead ring. They all live near a meadery, and they buy bottles from their local meaderies and ship them to each other. And whenever they come in to buy mead, they're like, "Hey, one of my friends sent me an extra bottle for you. Try this." And so I got some of Cycle Brewings from that, and just blew me away. Like completely next level, like stouts and porters. And it's not like the super sugary sweet stouts. They're like very flavorful, and they're a little bit on the sweet side, but it's not overpowering. And they do really interesting things with the flavors. I hate their labels, but well, they're really weird. So they're all like, they almost look like these optical illusion puzzles. So they've got all these zigzags and stuff, and sometimes you can figure out what it is, and sometimes you can't.
Like a magic eye?
Almost, yeah. But
Sailboat.
From anybody else
Almost.
that remembers the 90s.
Right.
Yeah.
and some of them are like that. There was one that was called Rare Dose, because Dose was the name of their stout or whatever. And it was rare because I don't remember, there was only like 6 barrels or something of it. And then they lost one of the barrels, so they re-released it as the Lost Dose because they found this barrel and released it again. And like, it was one of those magic eye things. So it was like all these black and white slashes, or like lines, and then inverted lines going the other direction that spelled out the name of the bottle. And then they'll take that same stout and they'll age it in a tequila barrel, and then you'll find one that's been in a rum barrel or a bourbon barrel or a whiskey barrel or a rye barrel or something. So there's always different variants of that same batch coming out. And they're all phenomenal.
Yeah.
The tequila one was a little weird.
I'm gonna. I might have to pursue this.
Yeah, I would definitely
I'm gonna make a
look into
note.
it.
I'm gonna have to do it.
So I love those guys. Some of the first beers that these guys brought me were sours. I hate sours.
I'm not a big fan of a sour.
I
either.
like
And
sours.
I like it when it's good, but I'm so picky about it that it's tough. It's like a barley wine for me.
I say,
See, I love barley wines. My problem with sours is they taste like infected beer most of the time. Like, it's not
Well,
something that's intentional.
the straight Brett ones definitely do.
Well, if they're using Brett or lacto, it doesn't necessarily matter, but contamination can also give you that same flavor.
Yeah.
So a lot of them, to me, taste like somebody screwed up a batch. Is like, hey, it's Belgian style. It's supposed to taste like that.
Yeah.
No, it's terrible. What are you doing?
It's funky. It's really tricky to add that funk.
Yeah,
Trust me.
that's right. Yeah,
It's an
We
extra
wanted
$10
it
for
to
that
do that.
funk.
That's right.
Yeah.
And it feels like that to me with a lot of sours. I've had a couple that were good, that it tasted like it actually added something to the drink. Most of them, like, no, I can't do it. That's terrible.
Yeah.
So,
I was gonna say the magic eye thing. My nerdy tangent on magic eyes. Of course, Seinfeld. Right when George comes out of the bathroom without his shirt on. Right. That was a weird one. I think that's magic eye. And the other one is the Mallrats movie poster.
Yeah, that's what
Remember?
I
Is
was...
that what you thought too?
Yeah, that's why,
Yep.
that's
what
why
I
for the
thought
sailboat.
right?
That's what the
Again,
sailboat reference
90s,
was.
very 90s.
Oh, look, a schooner.
right?
Yeah. Or even the movie poster had it on it too.
Yes.
Remember that? Yeah. I remember seeing it. That's why I
It's not
noticed
a
the poster.
schooner. It's a sailboat.
Yeah. You stupid.
It's-
Yeah.
Okay, can we do the whole line for you?
Yeah.
You dumb bastard.
Yeah.
It's not a schooner.
Your glass
It's
is
a
empty.
sailboat.
To me.
Please fix that for me.
Schooner is a sailboat, stupid head.
Yeah. Little bastard.
You know what? There is no Easter Bunny.
So this is a coffee mead.
Ooh, I was curious about the coffee.
This is one of them. This one's from a Haitian coffee. It's a dark roast, which I normally don't use because I don't like the carbonized kind of bitter that comes across from it. But this one's actually pretty good.
Yeah.
I will probably be releasing a light medium roast probably towards the end of the year from this same roaster. But the other ones that I'm doing are actually from a local guy, Velton, who's phenomenal. So.
Well, it was sweeter than I was expecting it to be.
Yeah, it tastes like coffee smells though, which is kind of the plan with it.
Yeah.
So with single origins, if you over roast them, you get a lot of like the bitter, harsh flavors. But if you don't over roast them, you can actually get the different origin flavors.
Especially, not to interrupt you, but
No, you're
especially that the real aftertaste that just kind of lingers on your tongue there.
Yeah.
You can totally pick that up in there. Really good.
I wish I had. Maybe I do.
Again, just such kudos because I love how one of my favorite breweries is Rogue Brewery, and it's one that we had all month for our shows. So we tried a different one each month, and one of my favorite things about it was that when you read the description on the label and then drank it, it was that. Like, it was clear as day what they said it was. Nothing was abrasive, but all those things were in there about it, right? And I love how every mead I've had from you that you make has those qualities to it. Like, you're like, it has this and this and this, and then you try it, and they all are in such harmony with each other, and nothing is abrasive on your palate. Really, really well
I'm
done.
a big fan of balance.
Yes.
Because if it's made with honey, I want you to taste the honey, no matter what else is in it. And if I'm using a different ingredient, I want you to taste that ingredient. I want you to be able to pick out all of the different flavors.
Yeah. Well,
And not this, like, nuanced, like, oh, this one tastes like cat pee and tobacco. No.
yeah.
The hint of
The
fig
cat
and
pee's
cherries.
subtle, though. It's subtle.
Right,
it's subtle.
exactly.
Somebody-
Using Warrior
It's
hops.
an acquired taste. Yeah. That's my favorite when people tell you that. No, it's just bad. Okay.
Yeah, that's right.
So, I do want to give you a chance before
Okay.
we get rolling too far and get the nerd ball going too much to promote yourself out there.
Okay.
Please tell people where they can get your mead, how they can discover you, find out about you, because they really need to do it.
Okay. So the meadery itself is in Everett, Washington. Address is 2625 Colby Avenue. And if you type that into Google Maps or whatever, it will give you directions that point you to the very center of the building, which is technically accurate but completely unhelpful.
Yes.
You have to actually go to the back side of the building. There's a parking lot back here, and you'll see a big 10 by 10 roll-up door. If it's closed, just knock on either Thursday through Saturday, noon to 6 p.m. I'm always here. If the door's closed, just knock. If it's open, come on up and say hi.
And get a sample of mead.
And get a sample of me. You
Yes.
can try anything that I've got in bottles.
And it's so good.
Thank you.
Really, really good. And I love it. In a way, it kind of adds to my nerdiness in my various alcohol consumption ways.
Good.
Yeah,
That's what I'm here
I
for.
love to add it to my palate. It's awesome. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you.
No, thank you.
So, next nerdy question. This is I don't want to start any wars. Okay? There's a couple that we could potentially,
I'm
we'll
a
try to stay
well-rounded
civil,
nerd,
right?
so I
Yeah.
tend to appreciate all sides of things.
the one that I always else like to ask people is the console wars.
Okay.
Do you have a preferred
PC Master Race.
PC? Yes, yes. Okay, that was totally on there.
With that said, I do own a PlayStation and an Xbox, not the current gen. I have
If
my
you had to
PS3.
get a current gen, what would it be? Then we'll tell you if we're going to war.
I know.
Welcome to the Shark Tank.
The problem is I'm not huge on like the current iteration of like the Call of Duty games. I like the old school ones.
Okay.
I don't like the new ones, so I tend to stay away from like the Xbox stuff because most of the guys that I've run into are a bunch of assholes.
Yes.
And I like people that I can actually play with, not necessarily some fucker that I need to, show what's for.
Yeah.
And I love my old school RPG games. So I tend to stick with more like PlayStation
I
type
think
stuff
all
in that
that
respect.
tends to cater to PlayStation.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
The problem nowadays is I've got a 4-year-old, a 6-year-old, and a successful business, so I don't have time for an RPG. My RPG right now is the Final Fantasy Brave Exvius on my phone.
Okay.
Love that game. But I don't have to commit like days to it because I've got this much, units of time that I can use, and I can either follow the story or do whatever the event is or what have you. So that's kind of my
Mobile.
guilty pleasure is
PC
mobile.
or mobile?
PC or mobile.
All right, well, you get a slight shame for mobile, but we still love you.
Well, that's all right. I don't have an Xbox in the shop or a TV, so there's not much else.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we are diehard PlayStation guys.
Nice.
I've
All right.
nothing against Xbox guys or Nintendo or anything. I think, like your preferred brew, we should just all get along and share alike. But if I have to pick, it's hands down PlayStation.
All right.
Been that way since PS1.
I love my
Yep.
PlayStation.
Yeah.
Symphony of the Night.
Yeah.
One of my favorite games.
Yes. I guess that was another one. Was do you have a favorite game?
See, I have favorite games on each console.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Right. It's tough.
So, like,
That's a super
I
tough
love my
question.
Zelda games. I love
Okay.
old school Zelda 1. I didn't really like Zelda 2 all that much. I thought it was weird the way they changed with the overworld map and then the side scroller stuff. I tended to prefer like the overhead, and I loved Link to the Past, and I love the Game Boy version. I don't remember what it's called now, but I love that one.
Yeah. There's been so many Zeldas.
Right.
I was actually saying, though, to our intern Jack, who's right across the camera from me, give me a big thumbs up. One of the things I really appreciate about Zelda is that it's a game that has managed to stay for the most part true to its fans.
Yes.
But also reinvent itself along
Yes.
the way, which I
Absolutely.
give so much props to. The other
Absolutely.
one, my classic go-to, which we're both huge fans of, is Metal Gear Solid.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
I love that how it does that also. right?
Absolutely.
So I give any game that can do that so much props, because typically, if it's the same cookie cutter thing, I'm pretty burnt out by number 3.
Well, that's why I like the Final Fantasy games, because
Yeah.
every
Yep.
single iteration is vastly different, and while they still kind of maintain the same feel, they change basically everything about the entire game, but it still feels
different
kind
universe,
of like
different
a
people.
Yeah, right. And even the controls are different, the mechanics are different, everything is different about it, but it still feels like a Final Fantasy game for the most part.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, and I think 99% of them, it's like you get your chocobos,
Yep.
you get your airship,
Right.
like you get your
You have
classic.
some sort of materia or
yeah,
something.
right. You have
get-
the classic Final Fantasy things
Right.
for sure. Yeah. All right, so another one. Start a war. Do you prefer? And I think I already know what you're gonna say. Star Trek or Star Wars?
Yes.
Yes, both. I love
Yes.
it. All right.
For different reasons. I love the ideal of Star Trek. I think that's fantastic that, everybody gets along, we all work together, we move the entire race forward. I don't think it's realistic, especially in modern times. I think Star Wars is more realistic with humanity, and, well, I want a fucking lightsaber.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
And be able to choke someone from like 10 feet away.
Right, yeah, choke yourself.
Yeah.
Just-
Just
yeah.
do it. Yeah.
yeah.
I always think of Star Trek is the one that's like the spoiled rich kids,
Right.
Where they can blow up their ship and mommy and daddy will just buy them a new one,
yep.
right? And then Star Wars is like the other side of the tracks, where it's more the slum kids that
right.
just they built their ship out of shopping carts and cardboard boxes.
Wow,
and
I
like,
just went 8 Mile with this.
right,
Right.
totally, right. But I'm kind of in that same boat. I love them both. I think they're really good.
Yeah. But if I had to pick one, I'd probably say Star Wars.
Yeah, I prefer the kind of the more the reality kind of the Star
I like
Wars,
that it's a little more gritty.
and I think that's kind of what would really
Yeah.
happen, right?
Right.
It's just what would really. There's no way we're all going to get along. It's like the Seinfeld joke where he's like, "All right, the individuality thing is over. We're all going to wear the silver suit with the V
Right.
stripe. We're exploring other planets. We want to look like a team here, right?"
I do notice that the intern has a red shirt, which I find very funny.
Yes.
It's because he's super Flash fan.
Right.
Yeah, anything red. Same with his hat. We love you, Jack. You're doing great over there, by the way.
Yeah, that chair hasn't floated away once.
That's right. If you go to patreon.com/nerdbuzzed and donate $35, don't feel a need to stop there. You can donate more. But if you do that, you get a t-shirt like the one I'm wearing, except it'll be either red or gray, like the one Jack's wearing. And you get a swag bag, $35. So do it. Like Jack's
nice
wearing.
t-shirt.
Thanks, Jack. You look stunning.
The people love you.
Yes. So we have another war question.
Okay.
Marvel or DC? You could actually pick anything out of it, and we outside of those standard realms, and we would give you major nerd points for that.
Image.
But
So
those
one of
are
my
kind
favorite
the
comics is
go-tos.
actually Old School Spawn.
Okay.
I love Spawn.
Yes.
Love the character. Love Scott McFarlane. Back then. I think he got a little too big for his own pants at some point.
Yes.
But I love the old Spawn. I actually have the first 20 issues, all mint condition comics, all stashed away at home.
You hide them from the kids.
I do.
Yeah.
I let them look at them. I'm like, see that box up there? That one has some really cool comic books in it you will never see.
Yeah.
But I like them both, but Soups is my guy.
Yeah.
And like old school Superman, not this new angsty Superman.
With the weird puppy dog
is
eyes.
Is he that angsty
Not,
in
not
the
even
comics
so
too?
much the puppy dog eyes, just the character. So I'm trying to remember what issue it was. There's one thing that like stands out to me as far as like the epitome of Superman, and it's I wish I could remember the issue it was, but it's this woman that's about to jump off a building, and Superman shows up to save her, but he just stands just outside of her range, and she just explains that she's going to end her life, and he just stands there and says, basically, I am here to save you.
As she's falling?
No, she's standing on the building,
Oh, okay.
about to jump.
Yeah.
And he is he's like, I'm here to save you. And she's like, I don't want to be saved. And he's like, if that's your wish, I will respect your wish, but I am still going to be here to support you and try to help you through this so that doesn't happen.
Wow.
And you, through the different series of panels, you see like time change. So it's like nighttime and then daytime and then nighttime and then daytime. And it's Superman just standing there and this woman just like right on the cliff of this, or this edge of this building. And it's just super powerful to me because you see him and you know that he can hear everything that's going wrong in the world. And he's keeping his promise to this woman that I'm going to be here to support you through all of this. And he just maintains his word and just stays, regardless of everything else that's going on around in the world, to support this woman. And he ends up saving her, and I think it's because he maintains his word on that. And he's honorable, and he's just that person. And like modern iterations of that character, they don't have that element to him anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, in the movies, the recent ones,
I can't stand the recent ones personally.
I hate it. It's not Superman. He doesn't destroy the city. He takes the fight out of the city. He goes out of his way to take the fight out of the city so that humanity is not harmed. That is Superman.
Well, and I would say the only thing that maybe in Superman's defense in that movie, I'm not saying that movie's good by any means, right? But I would say it's also though like his first time being Superman. So maybe he learned his destroy the city lesson during that. I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't want to give him too much credit because I also agree that movie's not great.
I don't. See, I don't even want to give him that because I feel like it's a disservice to the character.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, Smallville, I think, is a fantastic example of, like, the growth of Superman coming up, living with the Kents and coming to terms with the powers that he has and how to use them responsibly and what happens when he uses them irresponsibly and... he goes through that angsty phase through the entire series, and then you see him evolve into Superman, not full grown up 35-year-old Superman.
Yeah.
All of a sudden having his midlife crisis and gonna blow some shit up and then kill Zod at the end. Spoiler.
Yeah. I recently have dabbled in the Smallville. It's now you can watch it on Hulu. You can watch every single episode, and it's very CW. Right?
Very much so.
Is.
Very much so.
It's very campy, but I love that part of it also because he totally makes mistakes.
Yes.
Like, he makes some pretty major mistakes that happen in that show, and it's cool to watch him transition from high school Superman to now he's graduated high school, and he's got to, like, learn to actually be a man instead of a boy, and what that means to have the superpowers and all that stuff that comes into play.
Right.
I'm actually a big fan of it. It's borderline... whether or not I can really stress people need to watch it, because I think there's definitely some seasons in there where it's a little bit of a struggle.
It's a bit of a slog in a couple of them.
Yeah.
I think season 6 or 7 is a little rough.
It's right where I'm at.
Yeah.
I'm hitting the slog. I'm starting to feel it a little bit.
It is, because you're right at that transition point where he's about to go into Metropolis.
Yeah.
Or he's in Metropolis, and he's the red blue blur, and it's like, what the f is this?
Yeah.
And it's character development, and it kind of makes sense later, but it's a slog. But the last couple of seasons are phenomenal.
Yeah, and even those first, I really enjoyed those first ones where he's like actually in high school, and he suddenly I like it how when he gets starts getting into girls, right?
Yeah.
And he start getting a little flustered, and suddenly he starts burning the walls and stuff. Yeah, I thought that was cool, and things like that start to happen. Yeah. It is a great show. It's a little rough in a couple seasons, but it's totally worth checking out. Totally. So Superman's
my guy.
It's tough to say if I've never been the hugest Superman fan because he's such a Boy Scout.
I give you that.
Yeah.
I'll give you that.
He
annoys the shit out of me a lot of times because of stuff like that. I'm like, no, do it the easy way. What are you doing?
Yeah.
But then I realize that that's the character, and it's not so much that he does it the easy way, it's that he follows through with what he says he's going to do.
Yes.
And to me, that's huge.
Yeah.
Because that's so uncommon nowadays.
Well, and even like we were talking about just standing there and watching the lady on the edge of the building. Mm-hmm. I never read that comic, but one of my
I'll send it to you.
That'd be awesome.
It's
totally
phenomenal.
Check it out. One of my favorites is that the first death of Superman, where he's fighting Doomsday, and there's totally that moment at the end where he's like with Lois, and Lois can tell doesn't want him to leave her, and he's like, and he looks at her and he's like, but this is who I am, and this is what I do, and I'm gonna go die now. Yep. And she looks at him and realizes, and there's not even a lot of dialogue in that part of the comic, but the way that part of it is done and the emotions that come across in that are done so well. That's also why I hate that BVS movie so much.
Right?
It's like they missed out on all of that stuff.
I know.
It's like that's so. There were a couple scenes like when Superman has his hands in the back of Doomsday and he's sending him up in space. Like that is ripped right from the comic book. And that scene is so cool. And there's all these moments,
and then they ruin it,
right? And then it right back to it, and it's ruined again.
Yeah.
But that I also love that comic for that same kind of feel, right? It's like I am totally a Boy Scout, and I wear this badge, and I'm going to honor it because that's the system I work under. And when they have that interaction, it's like I remember as a kid reading that and just like, oh, it's Superman, right? Yeah, well, it's a great one for sure.
Well, that's why he's on my wallet. I'll whip it out just for the camera.
Yeah, that was one of the first things that I saw, and I thought he can hang. Yeah. I believe that's what you said to me. I can hang. Yeah. So yes, please. So let's see.
This is a single origin coffee from Rwanda.
This is one I've recently had.
Rwanda.
And I thought this was totally relevant with our superhero thing. If you could pick one superpower, what would that be?
Ooh.
Uh-oh. Which one's which?
Far one's mine.
All right, good.
That was,
I don't want your Jeremiah cooties.
And just for the record, I always do coffees in pairs at least, so that you can appreciate the differences in them.
Okay.
Every single batch of the coffee is exactly the same, down to the 0.02 grams of every single ingredient. They're fermented the exact same temperature, right next to each other. Everything about the process is the same. The difference is in the beans and where they come from. Coffee is, in fact, not just coffee.
Yes.
There you go.
For sure.
Give that a try.
Ooh, this one smells different. This one smells a little more coffee.
This one's got more of a chocolatey, nutty flavor to it.
Yes, it does.
It's got kind of that like cacao nib bitter to it.
Boy,
Very chocolatey flavor.
Yeah.
Boy, that's a tough call. I was going to say which one I like better, but
I like this
can
one.
I like them both?
Yes.
Yeah.
They're all different. It's
I really like this one.
Yeah, this is really good. I like that you. I'm a fan of a little darker roast coffee anyway, and this it's a little. The other one was a little more subtle.
well, this one was a dark roast. This one right here is a light medium, or it's a medium roast.
Really?
Yeah. It's the origin of the beans changes everything.
Yeah, it does. Wow. It's good. I like it.
So
You've
sorry,
impressed me again.
superpower. Let's see.
And
I've
you can't
spent
say
enough-
Superman because that's
No,
one of the other reasons
right?
I don't like him because he has every power in the book. How do you fight the guy that can do everything?
Well, there was a study I think that was done about superheroes and who would win in an all-out brawl, and it was Superman.
If he wasn't Superman, that's the problem.
Right.
Like if Superman was a bad guy or threw his morals out the window, then yes, right. That's
Yeah,
like
he would
classic-
beat everybody.
Yeah, that's the classic Superman
Yeah.
Batman.
Oh no,
battle,
a
right?
rock. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
Batman will figure out what will kill you and then kill you.
Right.
Superman will figure out what will kill you and then hold back a little bit.
right.
Yeah.
They just make you hurt a little
Yeah,
bit,
yeah.
feel uncomfortable,
Yeah.
maybe a little awkward. Yeah. I spent enough time in traffic. I'd probably love to fly. Yeah.
I think flight.
I think flight.
I know. I've really thought about this one. We haven't.
I
answered
really
this one
like
ourselves.
flight,
This is
yeah.
new to the list.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think, Jay?
I don't know.
You can only pick one. That's the tough part.
Well, that or actually,
And you can't say
live
what-
forever.
Live for. Ooh, that's
Like
brutal.
immortality.
I don't want
Well,
that. Like
there's-
live
there's plus
forever
and
or
minus.
can't die. Are those one and the same?
Probably not.
I think
Like if
I think you could probably still die, but as long as you didn't do anything really stupid, you'd live forever.
Yeah, right. Like you got to be
I think-
aware of it.
Right.
That's like
yeah.
a weird.
So there's like
that's a weird
there's
power
a
to have.
balance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
see that's where I think the Wolverine thing would be because he's definitely ages. It's just a lot slower.
Slower. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think having a definite timeline is what gives us.
See, I don't
ability
know
to enjoy
because
life.
and that kind
Yeah,
of
I think so too.
I think that plays into like just the way I am though, because I love learning about new and different things, and I kind of throw myself at those things. So being able to learn about everything would be fantastic, because there's, I mean, given time, you could come up with night vision, you could come up with invisibility, you could come up with flight of some kind, like if it's just Iron Man's flight or whatever. So a lot of the powers you could find a technological way of mimicking. But living long enough to do those things, I think, might almost be more beneficial.
So you
Because
would.
then you could also do a lot for just mankind.
Yeah.
See now,
See, that's Superman coming out again.
Yeah. Right? Yeah.
I
Boy
think.
Scout.
Right.
I think on that term there though, is I would really appreciate Professor Xavier's power, because then you would be able to tap into all of the world's knowledge instantaneously.
Well, and that's where I was wondering that, actually. I was like, if you could live forever and have the opportunity to learn everything at your own pace, or if you had the ability to just learn everything, like, now are you taking the joy of the journey out of it?
Yes, because I think that's the important part is the struggle to get through it, not necessarily the outcome.
Yeah. To, like, make
It's
some
the
mistakes
process.
along the way and actually stumble and
that's everything.
pick yourself back up.
It's the failure is where you learn. You don't learn from succeeding.
Yeah.
You learn when you make a mistake.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's a cheap answer to say just know everything.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, right.
I don't think that...
Nobody wants to hang out with that
fun.
dude.
That's right.
Yeah, go away, dude.
I know Kung Fu.
Yeah.
Off.
That is such a tough question.
You forgot the
Right.
in front of that.
Yeah.
I know Kung Fu.
Yeah, sorry, Bill.
So you'd go Xavier. You think
I didn't
mental
say I'd
powers?
go with Xavier. I'm just using that as an example.
Okay. What do you think? You're on the
I
spot.
don't know, man.
You get one, right? That's the tough part, is you only get one.
Only one power.
So tough.
See, that's where I think the immortality or the knowledge would be good, because you could make up for all the others.
Yeah, right?
Or
You
at least
come
a
up with
lot
another
of
way
them.
around it.
Yeah.
Yeah. What if you could sacrifice all powers and be like Batman and just be like almost superpowers at everything? But not quite that caliber, right?
You could just be really, really good at a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
His is the
unnatural-
intelligence and money.
Yeah, right. That's it. His superpowers is his wallet.
Right, that's it.
I'm rich.
My credit line.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Daddy was fantastic.
I almost
really
think
good inheritance.
Yeah. I almost think the like the healing factor thing would be super cool. But then again, I think you run into the like super knowledge ability where it takes the fun out of it now, right? Like if you're going to fall and hurt yourself, but you don't have to worry about it, it's not as big of a deal. That's a tough one.
Yeah, well, and that's where you kind of run into the Old Man Logan storyline, not the movie. Where, things are starting to break down and things don't work quite the same way they used to. I feel like old
When he
age
pulled
would-
that claw out,
Right.
it's my favorite scene in that
I
whole
love
movie.
that,
It's
yeah.
so cool.
I feel like that would be worse than like the normal aging death, because it's going to be extended over 50 years instead of like 5 or 10 or 20 or 30.
Yeah.
It's this long period of time that you suffer instead of a short period of time.
I
So
totally
I
agree.
think that might be a problem.
Yeah. I think I might go mental powers.
Mental?
Yeah. I think I might just...
Like Jean Grey
I might
mental,
be that
or...
bastard that can just like control your mind. Yeah.
All right.
And just go through the world doing whatever the hell I want because you'll allow it because I force you to.
Right. All right.
It's brutal, I know, but it might be kind of fun.
Welcome our new overlord.
Like like the villain from Jessica Jones. There was something about that guy that it was just like it'd be hard to not go down the same road that he did with it. But there was something about him that, again, it's that kind of, it's the Vegeta in me. It just is.
Yeah.
You did say Vegeta, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. My favorite DBZ guy of all time.
Golly, man.
Is it too tough?
This is a hard one, man. You haven't talked to me all day, and now you put me on the spot
I know.
with this.
Well, I added
Thanks.
it in. I added it in. Yeah.
It just means it's your turn.
Yeah. Right.
Boy. Mental's a good one. Mental's pretty cool, pretty strong. I like the I don't like immortality. I like the idea of having a definite
I totally agree.
end on that.
Yeah. It would suck if like something happened and everybody was gone and just things just went down the crapper, but you're still there.
That's where you fly into the sun and call it a day.
Again, then it works.
Yeah, but chances
I would
are,
imagine.
Immortality, except
Yeah.
boy, general mischief and fun would be a good one. So I think teleportation.
That's also a solid
Teleportation,
answer.
yeah.
I love it. That's really good. You could do so much cool stuff with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Would you want teleportation where you get the weird colored cloud, or do you just want to purely disappear?
No, just purely disappear.
Yeah, I agree.
Go all Nightcrawler and just.
Yeah, that cloud thing's
Yeah,
weird to
yeah.
me. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the cloud.
No.
But now, do you want teleportation where like you think about a place and you have to be able to visualize it, or you have to be able to see it, or like line of sight, or
No. Thought.
thought? All right.
Yeah, I could be Goku then.
You don't get sidetracked, do you?
What happens if like let's say you really want a beer from your favorite brewery, and you're like, I'm thinking about that place, and it turns out they sold and like destroyed the building or built something else solid in its place. Then what happens?
Then, well, I think you're pretty much.
Then you really
screwed.
want that healing powers.
Yeah,
before.
right. Yeah.
Exactly.
I always thought like almost if it was like a teleportation with like a super speed, so you could still kind of see what's going on, not just instantly go, "Oh crap!"
And brick wall.
Okay. So
Yeah, right, yeah.
Extended visualization and
And okay,
But I thought we only had one.
yeah. It's rolled into the one.
Yeah.
Visual teleportation. I like it. Just got to incorporate.
But that
it
means
into
line of sight, right?
I guess so, to some degree. Yeah.
So basically, can I look at a picture and go, yeah,
fine.
there.
Beastmaster. I want to be able to
Yeah,
control all the animals.
Beastmaster.
That would be cool if you could teleport visually, and you could even do it like through time. Like if you
That would be
could look at a
interesting.
picture of a certain time period and teleport to that point. So that way you wouldn't have to worry about anything being changed, right? Did I just
Sounds like a
did
game
all
we
of our
just
minds
played.
Just blow?
Right, yeah, because I'm like,
we just played
that's
that
really
game.
interesting, actually.
Yeah, right.
You know that, right?
What?
We just played that game.
Yes, we did. Right, we totally did. But that'd be trippy.
Yeah,
right?
it
There
would
you
be.
go.
Didn't work out so good for her though.
It didn't. Yeah, in the end. We just played Life is Strange, and she could kind of do that. Look at a picture and travel back to the different times in the picture. It's a great game. It's very indie.
I've not played it.
Very kind of like choose your own adventure, build a story. It's done really well. It was
Nice.
free on PSN. That's why we played it.
Oh, nice.
Right? Bonus. It was also free, which was awesome. But I totally would have paid money to play it. It was
Nice.
that good. Yeah.
Well, technically, you did pay money to play.
I did. You're right. I paid
Just
money every
indirectly,
year. Yes.
right.
Yeah. So let's see. How about? I'm looking at my list. How about a movie? Do you have a favorite movie or genre?
I like space movies. So, like Star Wars, Star Trek, that kind of stuff. I like those. I like a good horror movie once in a while. I like the superhero movies. I'm digging the whole Marvel. DC's kind of sucking it. But
I was gonna say you have to give it up to Marvel for that.
yeah,
You really do.
They're nailing it.
It's groundbreaking what they've done.
Yeah.
I think just as far as the history of movies and like coinciding movies together and coming up with one big story arc, it's like
I'm impressed that they're able to incorporate all of the different individual storylines that they have into the big story arc for like the Infinity Stones.
yes.
It's a little weird where they're finding the stones, but I get why they're doing it, and I just really like that they're able to maintain that, and they actually have a plan for how they're going to make it happen.
Yeah.
That's fantastic to me.
And how cool is it that with their Netflix side of it, they're acknowledging that universe.
Yes.
That is
So like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., it's actually pulling in aspects of the movies and the entire
exactly.
storyline. So they have all of these different pieces that are interconnected that all tie together that tell the big picture story, even while they're telling the little picture story, which I think is really cool.
I just wish it went the other way a little more. I wish that there was something in the movies that would pay tribute to the shows a little bit.
I agree with that.
Right? Like I was talking with Jack the other day about it'd be awesome. Like I don't want actually Daredevil to be in a Marvel movie, but if
Right.
there was like a big case or something or a trial going on that pertained to the movie storyline, and maybe
So
he was
like
like
what
the
the
lawyer.
CW does with all the different shows and how they keep doing the
but
little crossover
so much better,
stuff. Right.
Yeah, but so much better.
Oh, come on.
What, like
yeah.
You don't want sing-along time?
Yeah. Well, and I even
Again?
think, in a way, they're kind of like the Metal Gear Solid and the Zelda, where Marvel has done a phenomenal job of giving you what you want and what you're almost expecting, but kind of delivering it in this new, fresh way each time.
Right.
They
Well,
really
it's,
do.
it's a
really good at
cohesive
that.
story that they're telling, and it's people like us that are like, you know what, I would really like to know more about, or at least do, is this story from when I was growing up, because I loved this storyline.
Yeah.
Let's do that. And then somebody is like, with money, is like, hey, let's do that. That's a great idea, and it's working.
Yeah.
yeah.
And then DC's like, oh, we want to do that too, and then they suck at it.
Yeah. Walk,
Pisses me
man.
off.
They're trying to run so much. It's just
Yeah.
walk first, please. Crawl even if you need to.
They
for a
do
movie or
way
two.
better with the DC characters, I think, on the TV series that they do, because they've got a lot better character development, and they're not actually trying to force a story, versus with the movies where they're not.
Oh,
they're trying to force a story, but they're not doing enough character development to actually make you appreciate the characters.
Well, and I've definitely come to the conclusion that what DC, because I give DC some movie credit, where I think Superman, Christopher Reeves, awesome. That's
Absolutely.
a phenomenal movie. It's probably one of the best
Yes.
origin superhero movies
Absolutely.
ever made. Right? Totally is that first one. The one with Michael Keaton as Batman, that first one. To
That
me,
was
that's
very
like that is my gold standard for Batman movies. It
Yeah,
just is.
I'll
right?
give you that.
And I think Wonder Woman, who's also a first for DC, is up there with those
I think
in
they
that way.
nailed Wonder Woman.
Right?
I thought
Yes.
that was fantastic.
It's for
Although
some
I'm pissed
reason
at Batman versus Superman. Why didn't Wonder Woman pick up the damn spear?
right?
She was right there.
Yeah. It just that we could
That's
we
the
could
kind of
talk
stuff
crap
that I'm-
about that movie
that-
all day.
Well, that's the kind of stuff that pisses me off about the DC stuff. It's like, why are you doing the stupid thing when you have the obvious thing right here that would fit with the character?
Yeah.
You're screwing the character over just so you can show Aquaman for 6, frames. What are you doing?
Yeah, I think it's for some reason they can do the firsts and they do them so well. They do them phenomenally, but then when they try to do it again, they so struggle. They really, really do.
Yeah.
And it's really too bad. And I'm so pissed that they ruined 2 of my favorite story arcs.
Yeah.
They totally
Oh,
did.
I know.
Right?
In one shot.
Yes.
Exactly.
It's too bad. We don't talk about it. We don't talk about
I
it.
was gonna say, yeah.
My only hope is that they're like, oh no, this wasn't really Superman. This was Bizarro. Really screw everybody up.
Yeah, I keep thinking that they'll do some sort of like a new 52 or a Crisis on Infinite, where they're just like,
Right.
yeah, we realized it was garbage. We're gonna bail ship on that.
Right. Let's
And
retcon this one.
Yeah, right. That's what'll happen. And the Marvel one has me concerned
They
a
could
little
probably
bit.
do it Flashpoint.
Yeah, right?
Right.
Totally, something like that would come in. And I've heard that
Yeah,
actually.
but the TV series has done it, so they won't probably do it with the movie.
Well, I heard the movie might be called Flashpoint.
Really?
So if that happens,
All right.
who knows? We might get a revamp of everything, and maybe it'll get better. I don't know.
Yeah.
They struggle with doing it again, so I don't have a lot of faith.
No.
It's really too bad. It's really too
Confidence low.
bad. What do you think, Jay? I think we got time for one more question. We left off on movie genre. You want to pick the next question? I'm gonna
Okay.
throw it at you.
But you have to answer it first.
Oh, we gotta do that one.
What is it?
Okay. Matt Groening. We go original classic Simpsons or Futurama.
Shit.
The fact that you struggle makes me love you so much more. Based on his answer, I might be in love.
I'm gonna have to go Simpsons.
Oh my god, we were this close, man. We were this close.
Only because I grew up on it.
Yeah,
So there's a nostalgia there that I don't have with Futurama.
yeah. I kind of did that
So I dig Futurama. Don't get me wrong, but I'm like more viscerally aware of Simpsons and relate to it better.
too. I would almost
Just because
think
that
with,
was me as a kid.
Yeah,
so.
I would almost think though with your the way you've described how the nerdy things you like and the knowledge that you're into pursuing and stuff, you'd be more of a Futurama guy
That's what I would have thought too.
because it taps into all those things. It really does.
You're not wrong, but put on the spot, I'd have to go old school Simpsons.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Old school Simpsons.
yeah.
That's the
Because
key right
that's
there.
the nostalgia,
Yes.
Yeah.
and that's the tiebreaker for me. Is the
I would say
nostalgia.
the same thing
So-
about Futurama. Old school Futurama. Seasons 1 through 4, the original run.
All right,
You can't touch it. Like, it's
I'll
so
give you
good.
that.
One of my biggest, I always mention it when I talk about Futurama, is that if you watch, I think it's season 2 or 3, they specifically say that it was Nibbler that pushes Fry into the time chamber.
Okay.
And if you go back and watch episode 1,
he's the one
his
that pushes
shadow
him
is
through.
actually
Yep.
on the wall in that episode, and he does
See,
do it.
that's one of the things I do like about Futurama is there's all kinds of stuff that ties in. That's like they had this big plan all along, and it follows the plan.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then if you look back, you're like, oh, okay, all right, so you did do that on purpose.
Yeah. Super
And
cool.
though it seems a little bit chaotic, and then you're like, okay, so that was all right. I'll give you that.
Yeah, and it's so easy to miss jokes in Futurama.
Yeah.
There's
Yes,
so
it
many
is.
jokes per minute in that show.
Yeah.
It's so good. It's one of my all-time favorites. We're gonna do a Futurama Simpsons show.
Are we?
Emily is just Futurama.
Okay.
Emily is the one that promoted it.
Oh, sweet.
She sent
Yeah.
me a message that was like, Futurama, why haven't we talked about this? So it's coming up.
All right.
Be prepared.
Nice.
So,
I'll have to borrow Trevor's. He's got the whole.
does he have original, the original first 4 DVD sets?
No, he's got the new release.
Ah.
It's the whole set.
I bet
Right,
those
he's on this one.
those original sets are tough to find. I'm a big fan of the
This is
way.
in Ecuador.
Okay. I'm a big fan of the way that a DVD is actually represented, the set itself. And those original Futurama sets have like a little scene through a window that happens when you open it, and then you get the full picture. When you pull out each disc and open it, there's like a comic scene that goes on, and when you lift the disc is the result to the comic, and like there's all these layers. Like
I
the
haven't
show,
actually seen that.
there's
That's
multiple
awesome.
No, I
layers.
haven't seen that either.
I will bring
I
one
like
next
that.
time I come by the meadery.
All right, see you next
Yeah.
week.
Okay, yeah,
Or
yeah.
tomorrow.
Yeah, yeah.
See you tomorrow.
So, once again, thank you so much, Erik, for joining us.
No, thank you guys. This is awesome.
It's been so fun. We're such nerd friends now. You're never going to see the end of us.
That's all right.
We're going to keep buying mead from you. Everybody else should do it too while you're out
Yes.
there. Please come and check out Erik and go to the website.
AesirMeadery.com.
Do it, people. And go to our website, nerdbuzz.com, where you can listen to any episode of Nerdbuzz or watch it now. 100% free, as opposed to...
Any other percentage of free.
Thank you.
I got to say something.
We love you, Jay.
You say that.
I mean it. One last time. Put something in your glass. Fix it. It's broken.
Yeah, it is broken. Let's see what that is. We'll do that one.
Oh, it's going back full circle.
Yep.
It's probably warm now.
One last time. To all the nerds.
Through all the fuzz.
fuzz. Bottoms up.
Let's get nerd buzzed.
Clankety clank.
Talking about beer, talking about nerd culture. You're on Nerdbuzzed. Marcus and Jeremiah. You're on Nerdbuzzed. Let's get Nerdbuzzed.